Hello and welcome back to the Fermented World Homebrew channel. We're over this side of the kitchen, so today we're making beer. This is my attempt at cloning a beer that we used to drink a lot of when I was younger, at a place called Rock City, going to metal concerts and things like that. It's called BELTA, which means really good up in Newcastle. If something's a belter, it means really, really good. This is going to be a brown ale. I'm going to try and clone Newcastle Brown. Obviously, when cloning beers, it's hit and miss. This is the first version of it. It could be good, it could be bad, it could taste like ass, it could taste amazing. But we're going to give it a go. So first things first is we're going to put some water chemistry things in there, which I don't understand, so I don't really share the info on that, but you put in whatever you think's right for the water chemistry. Now, I did think about going to do like an open college course on homebrewing, because I am just an amateur. You know, there is certain aspects of it that I don't understand, but I just have a go. Sometimes we absolutely nail it, other times we're a little bit further away from where we want to be. Like the last beer that I did, the marmalade wheat beer, it's literally just a wheat beer. All the marmalade's fermented. I can't see or notice any orange notes in there. So what I'm going to do is when I'm drinking them, I'm just going to serve it with some orange juice in. Literally going to get orange juice or squeeze some fresh orange juice into it, and we'll just rock it like that. Hopefully that'll make it taste like I wanted it to taste. I've got some more water chemistry things going in, but we don't need a great deal of this one because we're not going for a juicy beer. It's just a standard beer. Ale is more the preferred name of this. So here's what we've got in it. We've got 2 kilograms of pale malt. We've got 170 grams of flaked torrified maize. We've got 170 grams of medium crystal malt, and we've got 170 grams of black malt. Recipe calls for 200 grams of lactose. I'm going to be using this. This was from the Belgian double that I did, called Double Entendre. It was a really good beer, man. For a first hit, it was like, you know, really good. So we're going to be using some dark Candi, which is mainly used in Belgian beers. I was going to be using Fuggles, but I already had some Styrian Goldings, so I'm just going to kind of mix it up and do that instead. But yeah, it's got one lot of hops in, which I'm assuming is at the beginning. I haven't written any other notes other than that, so that is where it's going to be. Can't actually see how much hops I said I'm putting in. It looks like 28 grams, but it's certainly not going to be 28 grams of bittering hops, is it? Or is it 18? Not quite sure about that. I'll have to have a look at that in a bit. You don't want it overly bitter, because this is quite a sweet ale, which is why we're getting a bit of lactose in there. Now, you can get other versions of unfermentable sugars. I think maltodextrin's one of them. If you don't want to use this, what it does is it puts an unfermentable sugar in, leaving it a little bit more sweet, as a newkie brown would normally be, or Newcastle Brown, if you're not sure with the term there. So this is all going to be sped up. It's just going to go, and I'll be back at certain points where I feel like I need to talk it out with you, and let you know what's going on. But it's pretty much the same process as all the other beers. We're going to heat up some water to 65 degrees. I always have it a little bit higher because when I put the bag in, it goes cooler, and then when you add the grain, it cools again. So that's where we're at. Get it on. Okay, so if you watch any of my homebrew videos, when it comes to the beer, you know what's happening now. We have got the mash sorted. Now we've got our wort. We're going to boil it off. We're going to do an hour's boil with some hops in there. And of course, we have a bottle of beer. All the hard work's done now. Now it's just down to timing. I have got lactose, dark candy sugar, and some hops going in. The hops are going to be going in straight away, so we're going to bang them in now into the first runnings. Then we're going to put on the heat. This is going to be an hour's boil. We've got some nice dark liquid. See if I can show you. Throwing the hops in. Yeah, nice. Well, you couldn't actually see it. So let me bring it closer at the risk of burning my hands. Yes, it is burning. Nice and dark, lovely looking brown ale. Now, I think this is the first brown ale I've ever done. Now, one of my subscribers, Ray Finkel, he said he's doing a peanut butter brown ale, and I was like, oh my goodness. And you know what? I could right now make it a peanut butter brown ale, but this is the first time I've tried this beer. I want to make sure that the recipe's good before I start messing with it, as always. And yeah, let's crack a beer. That's going to come up to the boil. Once it's on a rolling boil, I'm going to set an alarm for 1 hour, and we shall be back to add the lactose, unfermentable sugars, and the dark candy, which is going to add to its colour and add some extra sugar in there as well. Again, this is the botanical ale. This is the beer that had the flower petals in. It wasn't as great as I expected it to be. I was expecting loads of floral notes. I think the Saison yeast kind of kicked it out of sync. So probably try it again without the Saison yeast, probably more flowers, with more of a neutral yeast, like the one I'm using today, which is safale or safale 04 English style yeast. And it's only half a packet because I do small batch brewing, don't brew on a massive scale, mainly because I like a variety, but also it's the capacity that I can brew at. That's pretty much it. About 20 bottles of each beer, and if one's crap for any reason, I don't have too much of it. So we're going to keep an eye on this. I've set up my extremely sophisticated temperature measuring device, which is an elastic band attached to my thermometer, which is then attached to a bulldog tip which sits in the side of the drink there, and every now and again I'll compress it and double check what temperature we're at. Currently 62, so we've got a way to go. Oh gosh. Splendid. Now it is a really nice saison. It's not a bad beer at all, but yeah, the idea of throwing all the botanicals in was a bit cack. But you know, you live and learn. I am going to wash my hands because they're sticky from this flipping wort. I'm going to let it heat up and we'll see what we get once it's heated. But for now, I'm going to go enjoy this beer. Right, now is the time where we're going to add the lactose, the candy sugar, which does seem like a lot of sugar, but I don't know why. I just kind of thought that the grain bill wasn't all that big. We only had 2 kilograms of pale malt, 170, 170, 170, which is 3, 4, something. My math is terrible. But we're going to keep mixing that in because we don't want it to char on the bottom. Want to make sure that it all gets a good mixeroonie. But obviously we've still got the heat on. Now the lactose isn't what I'm worried about. It's actually the Candi sugar that I think is going to, if anything, char on the bottom. So we're just going to give that a good mix. In goes the proctafloc, which is a fining agent. It'll just help it all drop out and clear at the end. So you can almost hear it sometimes on the bottom of the pan, the Candi sugar. If you give it a swirl, you can hear it in the centre as well. But it'll all go in. So I'm going to swizzle this for a short while and then we'll let it finish the boil, which has got another 15 minutes. Okay, so that's all it filtered out now. Got a lovely dark liquid. I've had to water it down. Possibly didn't need the Candi sugar in there. It gave us a start gravity of 68, 1.068. I've managed to get it down to 1.060, which I think will give us around a 5.2%, which I think is more in the ballpark of what the brown ale is supposed to be. But because I diluted it in the pan. It wasn't in a thing that I could measure from. So I think we've got about 1.5 litres surplus. So because of what happened with the last brew, and the fact that it went volcano, granted it was probably because of the marmalade and the fruit put in there, but on the side of caution, I'm going to take the liquid down to 11 litres, and we're going to then make a braggot with the rest of it. It's the opportune time to do it instead of actually making a brew specifically for a braggot. Unintentional. I need to go and sterilise some things. But first of all, we're going to have to take the 2 litres out of there. And as always, I forgot to put my mic on. We'll take it out before we pitch the yeast because I've actually got some yeast for the braggot, and we're just going to take this down to the 11 litre mark, and whatever we've got here is what we're going to use. Simples. Now I did just measure the gaps in between the measurements, and I think we've got about 2 litres that we can take out, and that should make that around the 11 litre mark. Yep, that's about right. So we've got 2 litres for the braggot, which I'm just going to slap together momentarily. Not ideal, but I've just, the amount that was in there, I just wasn't happy with it. I don't want to have to nurse this. I just want it to ferment naturally, and I don't have to keep changing airlocks and flipping all that jazz. So let's just double check we have got what we say we've got. Which should be 1.060. I did all the diluting off camera, you see, because it was a last minute thing to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, so it is at the 60 mark. So let's get that back in there. That's 11 litres, which is nice. We're gonna pitch the S05 yeast. Again, I'm only doing half batches really. Some people consider a standard batch at 23 litres. See, I always say half a packet of yeast because, you know, I do this for economy. Shut up. I do it to be economic as well as it being fun. And there's no point for me making it more expensive as I am on a budget. Mix in the yeast, and we're going to get some oxygen in there as well. Perfect. Then it is airlock and lid, and we also need the thing that I forgot to sterilise earlier on, which is the tilt hydrometer. Now, does anybody think they'd like one of these? Because I'm going to be running a competition soon, and that's going to be the prize. Or a raffle, sorry. It's going to be a raffle. You will have to purchase tickets. It's all going to be done through a website, which is legit. And it just means that no one can say that it's fixed or I'm picking in particular people. Keeps it all above board. And I think it'd be about £1 a ticket, so you could potentially win it for £1 when it's a device that costs like £114. I won mine. I was lucky to win it in a competition. So yeah, it was a competition held actually by Tilt Hydrometer. You can follow them on Instagram. They'll show you how it works and stuff like that. I don't think I've actually done a video on how the tilt works. It's like having a hydrometer in there the whole time. That's essentially what it is, but it's digital, so I can load an app, I can look at it, I can be like, okay, the gravity's moved down to this, I know that it's time to dry hop or time to bottle, yada yada yada. And you can see if it's stuck as well, and then you'll know what's going on inside, yada yada yada. But that's in there now, so we're going to pop the lid on and we'll sort this bragger out. It shouldn't take too long to do because the work's already prepared. It just gives me the willies now that it's going to do what it did last time. If I've got too much in there, like I say, I don't want to be wiping its flipping arse. Let's write down what we've got. I did have a brown pen, but you know, kids, man, they just nick pens. Even if it's a whiteboard pen, they'll nick it and use it on paper and stuff. And just they're like, where's my pens? So we've got BELTA, which in Newcastle means really, really good, like amazing. If something's a belter, it's amazing. Today's date, 4th September. '25. Original gravity was 1.060. Now, not all of the sugars are going to be fermentable because we've got lactose in there, which is why I've guesstimated that that's going to be about 10 points of fermentables. I could be wrong. Again, I'm just having a go, you know, just we'll see what we get. I could be right, I could be wrong. It could finish higher gravity, which means, you know, it's going to be sweeter. Newcastle brown is generally quite sweet, and yeah, we'll see what we get. This is going to get dropped down to the floor because it's at 22 degrees and I want it to ferment at 20. So I'm going to get this out of my way, and oh no, that's a bit of a bugger. Nearly put it down with the bloody tap facing down. Wouldn't have been a very good idea now, would it? That's going to do its thing right there, and I'm going to start the other video. So thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you all soon. Braggot incoming. A braggot is a mead that uses grains as well as honey. So imagine a beer cross mead. That's a braggot. Take it easy. I'll see you all soon.